Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I'm very excited about this new course which I'm going to introduce in this video, which is backend in Dart. And of course I published my video about creating your first API in Dart last week, and it got a very good response from you guys, and also the Aqueduct team also appreciated it. So again, this is one of the things which I wanted to make from a long time, but I couldn't make it at that time, but it's better late than never. So we are starting this from this video onwards. And if you don't know what Aqueduct is, so it is basically a server-side framework. Okay, this is an object-oriented multi-threaded HTTP framework, and the special target is on mobile developers so that they can use, if like if you are developing application in Flutter or even in Android or any other web application, then also you can use this framework. And because it is an extensible HTTP framework, and it has the integrated ORM, OAuth, and also the test libraries. So, and also it runs on the Dart VM, so it is very lightweight and ultra fast. So that is why we are doing this. And it is multi-threaded out of the box. It has a good routing system. It supports ORM, OAuth, and it has a productive request binding and all that stuff. And most important thing is that it is already integrated with test libraries, and that is what I loved about it. And again, so if you haven't watched my first video about this, you should watch, where I have talked about how to install Aqueduct, which is pretty easy, just a 2 or 3 lines of code in the terminal and you are good to go. So make sure you have installed Dart, and then you have to run 2 commands. You can watch my video, which is Aqueduct pub global activate Aqueduct, and then it will be activated. So now I'm creating a new project. So before proceeding to that, let me just tell you what you can expect from this course. So first of all, you will learn how to create a REST API. Again, it is a very normal thing, but it will be very helpful for many of you guys. Second thing, you will learn how to integrate it with the database, and we will use the PostgreSQL database for this. And third thing is that you will learn how to write tests, and which is a very important part when you are dealing with backend, because in front end you can still skip that part, but in backend there is no choice of skipping that. So it is kind of very important for like writing tests before you give your APIs to the front end guy or any other developer who will integrate with it. And the fourth thing and the important thing is that you will be able to run it or use it on any mobile application. It can be Flutter application, or it can be any other Android or iOS application, or even web application. And fifth thing is that we will see how we can deploy it. Okay, so let's start without any delay. So I'm opening my terminal. Okay, here, this is my terminal. I will go to my so basically I move to another folder, which is my backend folder. Here I will run a command which is aqueduct create, and here I can create an API. So a project, basically not an API just. So I can name this project as quiz API. Okay, so basically we are making a quiz API from the scratch, and we will see what are the challenges and everything. So make sure you have this Aqueduct ready when you watch this video. And also I will use IntelliJ for the development part, but again you can use any other like code editor. You can use like VS Code or anything else you can use, but I will recommend to use IntelliJ IDEA, because that will be very helpful for you guys. Okay, so we have this project ready. Now let me just open my IntelliJ IDEA, and in that we will open this project. Okay, so just wait for a second. So we have this IntelliJ IDEA here. We can here go to open. Okay, now here I can select backend from my folder, and here we have this quiz API, and we will just open it. So we are good to go. And yeah, so we have this there are some already directories inside it. So first one is this bin, then this lib, then this test, and then we have some readme, pubspec and everything. So we'll talk about all of that. So before proceeding through all of that, let's see first of all this pubspec.yaml where we have dependencies. So it is asking me to enable the Dart support, so I will just click on enable and it will enable it. And yeah, that's all. So here we have this name, quiz API, description, version, author, which is stable kernel, the name of the company which have made this framework, a beautiful framework. And then we have this dependency of Aqueduct. So because we have used a template like of things, so that is why we have already this all of these things. And here we have this bin where we have this main.dart, which is the execution point, where we have a main method where we have declared our application. We have made an instance of our application, and we have also given it a configuration path. And then we have this port, which is 8000, and we have this number of instances fixed as 2, but you can use your platform's number of cores. That is also a good thing. So I'll explain all of that stuff. And then we have this, under this lib we have this quiz API.dart, which is actually exporting all of that stuff, like the library which is quiz API itself. And apart from that, we have this quiz API sync.dart. So this is basically all the settings will be here of your application, you can understand like that. Okay, and this quiz API sync is basically a subclass of this request sync. Okay, so this request sync is something which is this is like initialization of your application. So should be only one subclass of this type, like this quiz API sync can be just one. There cannot be many classes which are extended requesting, so there will be not purpose of anything like that. Okay, so inside this quiz API sync, you will set up your router and you will have all the configuration here. You will connect here with the database and everything like that. Okay, so here if we see our setup router, then we already have a route which is /example, and it is listening for the response, which is it is listening for the request, and it is passing a response which has this key value pair. And if we want to run this application, we have to go to terminal, or we can make our configuration file. And here we need to write aqueduct serve. Serve means start the server. So here if you will see, then it is starting a server which will run on the local host, and the port you can see it is to 8081 by default. And now I can go here and write here 127.8081, right? And 404 not found because we are setting the route to /example. So we need to write here /example, and you can see we got this key value. This is what I explained in the last video, but now we will move forward. And this is everything which comes with this template of Aqueduct. And apart from that, there is a test directory where we have the harness and the example test. So I'll talk about that. So before that, let's just change this number. So basically they are saying that here you can see that start the application via swapping isolate, that is listen for HTTP request. So it has currently number of instances fixed as 2. You can give it to 1, or you can use your platform to, like if you have like 4 cores, then you can say that I want to use this number of instances. So let's say how we will do that. So if I will import this Dart :io, and let's just pick the platform, and here rather than 2 I can say platform dot number of processors. Okay, so it will see which platform you are using, and then it will see how many processors you have, and then it will assign that to number of instances. So that's all you can do. Now let's go back to our quiz API sync.dart. Now we will do some changes. Let's rather than listening to this key value, let's remove it. And now because we are making a quiz app, so we will have some questions. So let's say we are making some list of questions here. So let's write here Now first question can be, who are you? Okay, it's like anything you can write here. This is not necessary that you should write this thing only. And then you can write how are you? Okay, so we have two kind of questions here. First one is who are you, and the second one is how are you. Now we will pass these questions inside this this response, and now we need to restart our server. So we will press Ctrl C to end the server, which will kill all the isolates. And then what we can do, we can run the command aqueduct serve, and it will start the server back again. And for the time being, you need to do this. Okay, we will proceed and we'll see what can be done to improve this process. So let's refresh it, and now you can say we have a JSON as who are you and how are you. So this is a very good example to understand this process. Okay, so this is basically what happens actually. Let me just show you that what actually happens when this all process goes. Okay, so before going to that, we will do something. Okay, what we will do, we will delete this class, or this, or not the class, sorry, we will delete this line of code where we are routing this to /example, and now we have just questions, and let's delete this object as well. So here it is written here that you should use pipe and generate instead of listen. So what does that mean? So for every request we will use a request controller. Okay, like if we are targeting /example, then we will write an example controller for that. If we are targeting, like, let's say /questions, then we will write our question controller. Okay, so that what will happen, when we will receive a request, we will pass that request to our controller, and from there it will decide whether this is a get request or post request and any kind of request, and then it will pass the response. So that's what we are going to do now. So here we can say router. Okay, that is fine, there is nothing else you need to do. So here we can say router, then we will say dot, or we can go to next line. Here we can say dot route it. Okay, so where you want to route it, let's say questions, because we are talking about questions as of now. Then we can say dot let's say dot generate. Okay, and rather than this we should write like this, it will also work. Okay, so it is asking me what you want to generate. Okay, so here we can say new question controller. Okay, so if we will talk about it more. So if we read about what this do, so it is a class which contains the router. Okay, it is a type of request controller class. So this is like overriding the request controller class. So we need to make this class which is question controller. So when the request will come to this router, it will check the route. If it is /questions, then it will pass this request to this question controller. Okay, now we need to make this question controller. So in the lib folder we will make a new directory which we can say controller. Okay, controller. Okay, so if you are aware of the MVC pattern, then we have a model, view and controller. So similar kind of stuff is happening here. So we are making the controller where we will have all the business logic. Okay, so here in the controller we will make a new file, new Dart file. Okay, and here we can say this as question controller .dart. Okay, so this is done. Now here we can make a class question controller. Okay, now it can extend, or it can have a parent class as a request controller, or we can use this HTTP controller, because we are dealing with HTTP requests. So before that, let me just do one thing. Let me just import our first API, this quiz API. Okay, so yeah, so by this package we will get everything which Dart offers to us. Okay, so that is why I am making this. So now what we can say, we have missed something also, but we will talk about it. Okay, so now we need to make this, so we can say HTTP. Now we will have all this stuff, HTTP controller. Okay, so we are done with this controller now. Okay, so after that, here we will say we have some questions. Okay, and here we can have some questions like who are you? Okay, and then we can say what's up. Okay, then we can have a question like what's your name? Okay, I'm just writing very simple questions. Okay, you don't have to write this, you can change it, so it's totally your wish. Okay, now we will use some annotations, and we can say HTTP get. Okay, that means that whenever the request comes to this question controller, it will check if it is an HTTP get request, then it will execute this method which I am about to write. So I can say here future. Okay, it will be of response type, and then we can say get questions. Okay, and here we will make it a synchronous request because we are using future, and here we can say return new response dot OK, which means this OK means that the status code will be 200, which is saying everything is fine, and in the body we can pass the questions. Okay, so we are good to go. Now let's go back to our quiz. Why it is saying, okay, type annotate public APIs. Okay, so let's just leave like that. Okay, so it is giving me an error because it requires a method, a lambda function, you can say. So here we can say now new question controller rather than just the question controller. Now we need to import this library as well. So now we are good to go, I guess. Okay, so it is basically generating this new question controller, and if we go to this question generate method, then you can see it generates a function, and that is what we are doing here. Okay, now let's just kill this server and let's restart it, and now let's refresh this. So this slash example will not work because now we don't have any route here. If you will see here, then we have just slash questions and nothing else. Okay, so what we can do now, we will go back here, and here you can also see in the error that routers may not use generate, use route instead. Okay, that is one thing. So it is router exception because it is not able to understand. So here rather than example we will write questions. Okay, and now press enter. What happened? It didn't work. Let's see what actually happened, and we need to restart our server again. Oh, I don't know why this is happening. Something is not correct, right? What can be the error? Okay, we have, okay, sorry, we have used this. We should not use this. Okay, so basically we are good, which we don't have to use cascading here because we are not passing anything like that. Okay, now it is listening. Let's just refresh this, and now you can see the output. Who are you? What's up? What's your name? So basically it is our the request comes to this router, and router has the route. It checks if it is slash question, then it will generate this question controller. And why this is generating the new question controller? Because every time you will receive a request, you will do something very fresh, because you know, this is like HTTP is a stateless kind of stuff, and I'll explain all of that because you don't need to understand as of now everything, because it will confuse you as of now, because many things will, I will say many things, and then it will just mess with your mind. So to understand is in a better situation, I'll just show you something, so that I have taken this from the Aqueduct. Okay, so once you receive this HTTP request, you go to this request sync class, then the router check if path is /question, then it passes it to question controller. If this is not the case, then it will pass the 404 not found. Okay, and if it is passing this through question controller, then it will sending the 200 okay. Okay, and that is what is happening. Okay, so you just have to understand that as of now, and then I'll explain you why this is happening and how this is happening. So everything we will talk about it. So I guess you enjoyed this video because there's not much about this in this video. So this is the basic process and how this works, and that's it. And this is kind of very easy if you see, right? Because we haven't done so much things apart from that, and now we can move to the tough parts. Okay, and before that, let me just show you something else, like because I should cover it as of now. So what I want to show you, that you can have more than one routes. Okay, so what if you want to have another route? Okay, so here also what you can do, below that you can generate more routes. Okay, so it's totally your choice. So like earlier it was router dot route, and it was /example earlier, which we just deleted, but you can still use it. So here we can say dot listen if you don't have any let's say you don't have any controller as of now. So here you can say request, and here you can say it is asynchronous, and in this particular portion you can pass the new response, and we can say response dot okay, and here we can have this key value which was earlier. So what was that? I guess this is what we had earlier. So that's it, right? Oh, I forgot this brace. Okay, and now we will put an exclamation. Now let's just restart a server just to make sure that everything is working like how we expected. So if we refresh this is still working. Let's go to example, and you can see this is still working. So you can have multiple routes, one below other, and this is how everything works. And now I will also explain you why we are generating this question controller every time. So watch my next video. Thank you, bye bye, take care. If you enjoyed the video, then please do press the like button. Also make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you, bye bye, I'll see you in the next video.